With the experience and resources for cases throughout Louisiana, Walters Papillon Thomas Collins, LLC, is proud to support LPB, specializing in personal injury and wrongful death, with information at lawbr.net.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stuart. Yes, as you can all tell by my crow's feet and wrinkles, that I am a young pediatrician. All right, I am going to test something. I probably should have done this before. Yep, that does it. Okay, just making sure I have this down. All right, we're going to talk about the vaccines, the good, the bad, the truth, all right, because a lot of people have been told that vaccines are bad. I think that Stuart just kind of, busted my bubble a little bit because he told y'all just how good they have been, the number one achievement, all right, number one. But so we are going to talk about the history a little bit. These 5 thoughts are going to include talking about the history and how good they are. When did they become the bad? They are not bad, but I've got something to tell y'all about that. What are some of the new vaccines? There's some out there that you guys, I can tell you didn't get. I didn't get it either, but some of them maybe you should get. So we'll talk about those. And then I am going to kind of hit on some vaccines that adults should have. I am a partner at the Baton Rouge Clinic, and so basically I was able to call up a couple of my partners and say, what do I tell these adults as to which vaccines they need to get, and I got those. We actually even have a infectious disease doctor at the Baton Rouge Clinic, Dr. Tatiana Saavedra, who's been very active in the coronavirus and helping us be prepared for it. So that's the last thing on there is the COVID-19 or the coronavirus. And yes, I do believe Corona Light does help take care of that. All right. All right. This is the busy slide. I have someone who prepares and helps people make slides, and you all are going, why did you put that one up there? It's because while he thanked science and all, I, as a pediatrician, want to thank you guys as Rotarians. This is from your website. This is, and I'm going to look at my slide because that one's so busy to read it, 99.9% since you all first started your project to vaccinate children in the Philippines. It started in the Philippines back in 1979. The reduced rate of the reduced polio cases, y'all reduced them by 99.9%. More than 2.5 billion children in 122 countries, spending $1.8 billion, the Rotarians helped do. So I want to thank you all for doing that. All right. That last part there talks about the fact that polio is only endemic in 3 countries, that being Afghanistan, Nigeria, and Pakistan. Some of the more common things don't list Nigeria, but the point here is those are 5th world countries, guys. Those are places where it is hard to get people vaccinated and so forth. But if anybody goes to those places, they could bring it back. So that's going to come up in the herd immunity part here. These are iron lungs, and what that says that since polio has been pretty much wiped out by vaccines, we don't need these anymore. My partner, Dr. Ronnie Bombette, if you all know him, he used to take care of whole wards, whole rooms, this big of rooms full of these machines with people in them, laying on their backs, looking through mirrors, and that's where they lived. As of 3 years ago, there were 3 of these machines left that I could find. I believe 2 of those individuals have died. They were all polio survivors, but had to sleep in these tubes every night to continue to be survivors. Vaccines are good, okay? Let's talk about smallpox. It is a contagious, disfiguring, often deadly disease. But that's really not true. It's not that anymore because as of 1980, it's eradicated. Thanks to all of the unprecedented global vaccine groups that were around. This was an illness, guys, that was around for thousands of years, and it's been eradicated by vaccines. Let me show you this picture. This is the face of smallpox. You see those 3 pictures there, and then you see an arm? That's the arm of smallpox. I would dare say that all of you all have the arm of smallpox, and that's because we have one pox. Imagine being covered as these individuals are. Every place that you see a pox is what they would look like with our arm poxes everywhere. This is eradicated, all right, because of vaccines. They're good things. All right, this is another busy, small slide, but I'm going to go quickly through it. Bottom line is the Haemophilus influenza B vaccine is in my medical career. It came out in the late 1970s. It really got good in the 1990s, and at one point they were only giving it to 2 years and above. It affects children under age 5. They were only giving it to children 2 and above, and now we go all the way down to 2 months when we start giving it. It's a disease that causes meningitis, ear infections, pneumonias, all kinds of things. But if it causes meningitis, oftentimes you are deaf as a result of it. That's a sequelae, the thing that comes after the illness, and you tend to be deaf. A girl that I was friends with in medical school, which is when the vaccine was first being developed, had a baby. The child had Haemophilus influenza B. So he is now a 30-year-old individual who's deaf because of what is now a vaccine-preventable disease. All right? Epiglottitis is an illness some of you may know about. A lot of kids had it. It's hard to see, but on the right side is a normal throat. On the left side is a swollen epiglottis that you can't breathe through, so they have a tube going down that to be able to help that person breathe. The interns and residents of today really don't know what this is. Because, why? Because Haemophilus influenza B has been almost, not 100%, almost eradicated because of the people getting this vaccine. That's a good thing. Kids would die because immediately that airway would close down, and if you weren't in a hospital when it happened, you probably died. And this slide tells you that even with appropriate treatment, you still have bad sequelae such as deafness and that sort of thing. And there is a vaccine that can prevent all of this. Does everybody get the part that vaccines are good? All right, vaccines are good, all right? You heard Stuart talk about the herd. Thank the herd if you are not vaccinated. I'm going to use the term not vaccinated is because you couldn't be vaccinated. You have an immune deficiency disorder. You are too young, too old when the vaccine became available. You might be getting cancer treatments, for example, which would lower your immune system. You can't be vaccinated, so you are going to trust your herd to take care of you. Oops, I got to remember to hit the button. Somebody yell at me if I don't hit the button. Okay, so the resistance to the spread, this is a key thing. The resistance to the spread of a disease within a population results if a sufficiently high number of the herd has been vaccinated. If everybody in this room, except these 4 people at this table, were vaccinated from a virus that then walked in the front door, because that virus has to get through all of us who are vaccinated to get to y'all, you most likely won't get it, okay? Because we won't catch it, so therefore we can't give it to you because we've been vaccinated. I have a slide that illustrates that for you. It's not just protecting you from getting it, it's protecting the herd, the rest of it, from being transmitted. This is the picture. Up at the top there, you see blue people, all the way on the right, you see blue people. Well, I guess I'm sorry, that's really kind of y'all's left. All the way, you see the blue people? Woo. Okay, if you can't tell, I'm nervous. I can do TV better than I can stand in front of people. But anyway, you see all those blue people and the one red in the middle? He's the virus, he's sick. Everybody who's blue did not get vaccinated. Everybody who's yellow did. The end result of that one sick person is, do you see the number of red people who got sick? It got through. There are a few people, that one blue guy standing over there, for whatever reason, the virus couldn't get all the way to him. He hasn't come in contact with somebody who has it, as well as the few vaccinated people don't have it. Go to the other side of the slide. You see a lot of people are vaccinated. 3 are not. Those 3, I'm going to give them credit that they might have cancer. They have a reason they couldn't be vaccinated. Guess what? Look to the next slide. You only have 1 person of those 3 that has gotten it. It can't be transmitted, nor can you get it. That's the goal of herd immunity. All right. All right. This is the guy who I really enjoy this quote. And basically he says that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. I'm going to add in that those who cannot remember or who don't know the past are condemned to repeat it. That's going to come to light when I show you this man. This is Jeremy Anthony Wakefield. He is a doctor, but I didn't put MD or anything by his name because I'm disgusted that he's a doctor. He actually has lost all licensing in his home, England. He cannot practice medicine there. They asked him to leave. He now lives in Texas, in Texas in the United States. He is not practicing medicine, but he is leading people. This is him in Poland leading an anti-vaccine rally. He's a gastroenterologist who was paid money by lawyers who were suing the MMR company to find a problem with the MMR and autism, because these parents believe that their child at 1 year of age, which is a common time to get the MMR, who then also it's a common time to be diagnosed with autism, he felt like that was the cause and relationship. That's not science, guys. Nobody could repeat his science. It has been attempted multiple times. Nobody could do it. Another thing you need to know about his research is it only had 20 people in it, of which 16 were sent to him by the attorneys that he took 500,000, I think it was pounds, but $500,000 even from, and he was inventing a new vaccine that he wanted to replace the MMR with, okay? He's a bad guy. And so what it says at the bottom down there is he preached lies to a generation who did not know or remember the past. People have never seen smallpox. People didn't see those iron lungs. These young moms who are people who want to believe, I don't want to put medicines in my kid if they don't need them. I get that. This is a medicine you need. That Haemophilus influenza B vaccine I told you all about, it's listed on the World Health Organization as an essential medicine because it is such a safe and such a wonderful vaccine in the way it treats those problems. So it's important. So what happened? What did Jeremy do? He preached all of this over in England. Immediately, the MMR rates dropped. As you can see, it went down to 92 to 84%. In there, sometimes in London, it was as low as 61%. In order for it to have immunity to the measles, you have to have a herd immunity of somewhere in the 94 to 95 range. So right there, it dropped. People were able to get measles again. It became endemic. It's part of the population. It's like getting a cold. So if you see up there, in 1998, there were 56 confirmed cases of measles. It wasn't eradicated yet. There were still some who got it. But in the next 4 to 5 years, over 10,700 cases, which meant 631 a year. People don't need to get measles, guys. There are very bad things that happen when you get measles. I could go through all of that. Bottom line is, they decided in England that, you know what, it's headed to London. We're going to have a massive vaccine. You got to do it because they can kind of control people over there. They did, and it dropped drastically down to 2,000 cases. There was one peak in 2018 that they couldn't explain, but for the most part, it was back down closer to that 56 per year. Measles, it's endemic. If y'all go visit and your vaccine has waned, you could bring measles back. Just letting you know. All right, these are the new vaccines. Am I talking too fast? I'm sorry. Okay, these are the new vaccines. Michael Douglas, he made it famous. Do y'all know what he made famous? The human papilloma virus. He got it from oral sex. I'm sorry I said that in the Rotary Club meeting. But it was good that he did it because I have moms who don't want to give it to their boys. And I'm like, well, Michael Douglas told y'all where he got his oral cancer. I'll let you do the math, Mom. But the bottom line is, girls, the human papilloma virus vaccine protects them from cervical cancer. It protects boys from head and neck cancers. It does go vice versa for girls also, but by far and large, it's boys and oral cancer, girls and cervical cancer. It's a great vaccine. They want to create all of them like it, the way it's built, but it's a very great vaccine. Can you see the girl dancing up there? And again, I'm sorry about my slides being small, but I don't know if you noticed it, but she has no legs. She has prosthetic legs. This was Dancing with the Stars. This is the meningococcal meningitis vaccine. This is the only two patients I've ever had survive it was a 7-year-old who lost one leg and a 15-year-old girl who lost both below knees, such as this Amy Purdy, and she also lost a hand. And her dad had to give her a kidney. Same with Amy, her dad gave her a kidney. The bottom line is it kills you within 12 hours. They go to college and they get this and they die within 12 hours. It used to get Army recruits, barrack guys. They would put all the barrack people together. So the Army, if y'all were in the Army or military, you probably did get one. But this is something we can prevent. She'll tell you quick, I wish the vaccine had been available when I went to college. She was 19 when it hit her. She was away at college. It's a bad thing. You think you have the flu and you're dead within 12 hours. It's that important of a vaccine. Down in the corner, and this is one adults may want to think about, we didn't routinely get the hepatitis A vaccine. It is now routinely given to children, but we had the largest outbreak of hepatitis A in the entire country right over there in Livingston Parish. And it's hitting the adults, and a couple adults had died from it. The kids aren't getting it because most of us as pediatricians have vaccinated those children, but it is getting the kids. So talk to your doctor about it. I'm not telling you to go get the vaccine. I'm telling you to talk to your doctor. All right. Those are some new ones. And then these are the ones they want you guys to have: the annual flu shot, the shingles shot at 50, the pneumonia, which is the Prevnar 13. It's a similar one that we give kids at 65, unless you're diabetic or otherwise sick, then you'll get it earlier. The Tdap, they figured out that grandparents who were babysitting kids who were either too young to get the vaccine or weren't vaccinated were coughing on them up in Wisconsin and giving those kids whooping cough because they had come into contact with somebody who had it. And as you age, your vaccine goes down a little bit. They all got whooping cough. They were giving it to their kids. So we now know to booster adults, and we put it with the tetanus. And then hepatitis A is that other one I spoke about. All right, the corona in the room. Okay, this is the coronavirus, all right? And I'm going to tell y'all what we know, and I had to quit. I was seeing patients this morning. I had to quit at some point of trying to stay updated. So if somebody knows that it's a few more patients than I do when I say it, go ahead and shout it out. But this is what I know about the coronavirus to date. We probably have all had one of these. The coronavirus is not a new thing. It's that this coronavirus is a new thing. It's COVID-19. It came from horseshoe bats, not lucky bats, horseshoe bats. And anytime something starts in an animal and transmits to humans, it's a bad thing. Do y'all remember the swine flu? You know, it was worse. It came from the pig farmers and so forth. It had mutated. Viruses, it's why you have to get a flu shot every year. Viruses are living creatures. They change. They go, oh, wait, I don't want to do that. I want to mutate. I want to be N12, N12A, whatever. I want to mutate. So you got to get a flu vaccine every year. We try to get the right one, and if we don't, you're still protected from that one whenever it comes around. MERS and SARS were also coronaviruses. Y'all probably remember all the Chinese people with the mask during the SARS, so forth and so on. This virus was not seen. For anybody who thinks that the medical community across the country, across the world, is not on top of this, know this virus was first seen in December of 19. This is only March 4th of 2020, and we have quite a bit of a handle on it. We kept a cruise ship from coming back. We've kept people quarantined. We're on top of it. And there's some countries that maybe aren't, Iran being one of them, but I think they're getting on top of it, okay? The countries that have had the worst problems with this vaccine are ones who do a lot of smoking and have lung problems. All right, I just said all that and I forgot to click the side again, but that's it. You know, when I used to teach the pediatric advanced life support courses all the time, they told us if you want an adult learner to take it home, you have to say it 5 times or give it to them in writing. And I almost just photocopied this for y'all because I'm so worried about my 25 minutes. Okay, let's go this. Vaccine, wait, somehow I missed symptoms. Did y'all, oh, I must have just missed that. Okay, I must have dropped some pages. All right, there's no vaccine yet. Let's go to that one. I'm sorry, guys. There's no vaccine as yet, but they are working toward that goal. It takes 6 to 18 months to develop one. It costs over $1 billion to develop one, and at the end of developing that vaccine, they may say that one doesn't work. But our government has pledged $1 billion to try to get the first one going, and they will get one going. And all the other countries are working on them too. We, of course, being Americans, we trust Americans more. And the thing that everybody's worried about is that it may be too expensive for any of us to afford. There's one for RSV, if anybody's ever heard of that. It's over $900, $2,000 a shot, and you have to get it monthly. So sometimes vaccines are quite expensive, okay? Everybody wants to be tested. Everybody calls and says, I want to be tested. And the bottom line is you have to meet so much criteria, so many things. Have you been to one of these countries? Do you have fever? Do you not have the regular flu? Do you not have this? Do you not have that? Before the team will even allow you to be tested. So you can't just go to your doctor and say, test me, I think I have it. You will have to have the answers to a whole bunch of questions, like where have you been? Have you been to Iran, Italy, all those things, and then maybe, in certain parts of it, maybe you'll be tested. What do? We wash our hands, we wash our hands, we wash our hands. I know that's boring. A lady on Fox said she was tired of hearing it. She didn't want to hear it anymore. But guys, it's our best defense against the coronavirus. It's a cold virus that attacks the lungs. And so in China, in Iran, where there's lots of smoking and lots of smog, they are dying because they had bad lungs to begin with. The people in Washington who died were people who were sick. They were infirm in a nursing home. I'm very sad about that. I'm not making light of that. But what I'm saying to you is the average healthy person is not going to have a problem with this. But to help yourself, wash your hands. They say you should say 6 feet away from somebody. You probably won't get it. But as you get closer, they could spit at you, kind of deal. But it's not so much that you have to worry about you catching it to where you wear a mask, which there is no recommendation to wear a mask right now. But if you know you have coronavirus, you ought to wear a mask so that you're not giving it the other way. It's why we'll have you, if you think you have flu, to put on a mask at our office so that you don't spit on somebody, not that so you don't get it, okay? It's much like the flu, upper respiratory, cough, shortness of breath, fever. Those all, you get a little short of breath when you get congested, that sort of thing. Only 1 in 6 who get it get the life-threatening illness. And the reason why you cannot compare the flu numbers as easily to the coronavirus is because the flu is a very easy test. I tested about 10 before I came this morning, and the bottom line, there were like 4 positives. And the bottom line is there's no test for corona. So you come in with a fever, little cold, you might have the coronavirus, but I don't know if that you have COVID-19. I just know that you probably have a virus, and you will get over it because it's a cold. So we may have a lot of people with this one as they filter in, because it is human-to-human spread. It used to only be bats to humans. It is now human-to-human spread. We know that. All right. So don't let the tail wag the dog. Please don't panic. This is not to panic over. There is no indication that we need to wear masks unless you're a medical personnel, where you're down in somebody's face, where you're right on top of them. If you're positive, we will put a mask on you. But other than that, it's okay. Don't listen to Fox News. Don't listen to WNBC, whatever the MNBC, those other ones. Don't listen to those. Go to the CDC website. You can go to the Baton Rouge Clinic website. I can speak for that one. I'm sure the hospitals probably have websites too. I'm not downing anybody, but I know ours is good. And we have Tatiana Saavedra. She's an infectious disease doctor, and she's on top of all of this and trying to keep us on top of it. I can tell you probably from anybody who has a MyChart system, all of the places that use the MyChart, such as the Baton Rouge Clinic, will be sending out, if we hear something like you better put a mask on, guess what? We're going to send that out to everybody. We are on top of it. Don't you panic. All right. Oh, and incorrectly wearing a mask is actually worse. For anybody with facial hair, the mask isn't going to fit you right. You're going to have to shave it down, to fit you. If you have a respiratory illness already and you put one of these on when you don't need to, it can actually hurt you worse than if you had the disease. So don't do the mask until we tell you to. Oh, and by the way, there's been no deaths of children with coronavirus. It's been the old and infirm. Well, when I did that slide, don't let the tail wag the dog, of course I have to show y'all my dogs, and this is the end. I love them. I always have rescues and relays. The big black and white one there by the pool is Aries, and he's a rescue dog, and so is Hermes, the beagle kind of mix. And then I only wanted one, but they kept showing them together, and as you can see, they love each other. I got 2 little poodles from Purdy, Missouri, and Sandy Bertman just got their sister. I helped her do that. So anyway, so that's that. And just to show you how false news can be, or how lacking news can be, everybody heard about these individuals in California who are getting it, and that it's human to human, and we're all panicked about it. Guess who's all in California? It says here, so the first identified on February 26th was a woman in Solano County, California. What they don't tell you is that individuals from the Diamond Princess were being housed at an Air Force base in that county. So it was there in the county they haven't figured out which human transmitted it, but it's there in the county. So while we need to know a human transmitted it, we don't need to panic about it. Thank y'all very much. I will take questions. I'm happy to take questions. Yes, sir.
Is there any speculation that the pneumonia vaccine might provide a little protection, since they talk about people getting pneumonia that get the virus?
So the pneumonia vaccine covers a different pneumonia. It doesn't cover a viral pneumonia that is coronavirus. So no, that wouldn't work, but it was a good thought. So I am unaware, if any doctors or anybody in the room that has read that, I am unaware of that, but just off my cuff, it's because it protects you from a different pneumonia. Yes, sir.
This question may require a whole nother presentation.
Okay.
But I'll shoot it anyway.
Okay.
I understand why drug prices can be so high, because there's a lot of R&D that goes into it.
Yes, sir.
It costs about $1 billion to make a vaccine, and the government is committing $1 billion. Why would it be too expensive for people to buy?
That is a very good question, and welcome to being in a world where we get to pick, when you make something, you get to pick how much it costs. Part of that, I didn't go into details on the slide. Again, I was worried about the time, but that's a very good question. So basically what I read about it, what I could find out about it was this. If it cost $1 billion to build it, to make it, that's just to develop it. That's to develop one. This is the vaccine. Then you have to multiply make it, give it out, and all of that. The government's saying, since we're giving you $1 million to make it, we want to help set the price of it, in which case it will be a reasonable price. However, the companies are saying, yeah, but we did all the work, so we want to set the price. And that's where the dilemma is. I have a feeling that if it's as deadly as as it could be, I guess, we will be able to afford the vaccine. But if you read it, I wanted you to hear what that was about. Yes, sir.
What about the 19 mumps cases that they had out at LSU? What's happening? Do we need to get back, updated vaccines for that?
That's a great question. So the last article from LSU that we had said that if you were in a sorority, a fraternity, on the tennis team, or there's one more, sorority, Tiger Band. If you were in Tiger Band, you needed to get a third, just if you were in that group, you needed to get a third MMR, okay? Then they said if you're like roommates with one of the cases that has an outbreak, or you're best friends with them, you needed a third MMR. So yes, if you needed it, kind of deal. It's all about coming in contact with them. And so again, LSU jumped right on that, and they kind of kept them separated, did their best. People for mumps, they forget that for men it can make you sterile. My generation, the mumps vaccine came out when I went to Girl Scout camp in 5th grade, and Dr. Upp gave me one. Dr. Upp was a great doctor, and but he gave me shots all the time. But he gave me a shot, and I have people my age who had trouble getting pregnant, and it turned out, and again, I don't, not in a bad way, but it turned out it was the guy's fault, and chances are they traced it back to mumps. Mumps definitely can make you sterile. And people forget that. Yes, sir. I got you next, ma'am. Yes, sir.
As a newly elected state representative, already I think there have been four bills filed by parents who don't want to have their students vaccinated to go to school. What would be the top 3 arguments that I can use to say no, they need to be vaccinated?
Okay, Stuart. All right, so here goes. Let me give you an example of one. There's an outbreak. I'm not breaking HIPAA. There's an outbreak of chickenpox, a vaccine preventable disease, at one of the Catholic schools in town. That those parents who are all paying their money believe that they are going to a school where all the kids have to be vaccinated, who legally have to be vaccinated. And they then find out that, oh my gosh, there were other kids who got chickenpox because the vaccines sometimes go down. That's again back to the herd immunity, so everybody's protected. The mom of the child who had chickenpox was about to get on a Disney cruise and had to be told not to do that, that it was not unwise, let me rephrase that it was very unwise to do that, and was somewhat disgruntled with the school for making her child stay home for 2 weeks. And what am I going to do with my child? And it's like, this was a vaccine preventable disease. You are part of this community. You are part of this bigger world. My response is either be part of us or don't be part of us. And if you want to be a homeschool person, then stay home. But I'm going to tell you, look up stories about the families, the church people, and I am very close to God. That's not an ugly thing when I say the church people, but go over and look in Texas where they have several religious sects that said don't get it. And when they got measles in that religious sect, they rushed in. They wanted to be the first ones. Let that MMR thing come out over there. And we had all our non-vaccinated parents calling us saying, we want to be first. And it's like, get in line, and we could prevent this, do it on time and in the right way. And I think all the moms, here's one for you. How would you feel if you're a mom? How would you feel if you're sitting in a waiting room where you believe all the people are vaccinated, and yet this child who is 5, who should have his MMR, his measles vaccine, he doesn't have it. He has caught it by going to Disneyland over in California. And he gives it to your 9-month-old baby who is too young to get it. That is not fair. If you want, the world needs to be a little bit more fair. I know the world's not fair, but I want it to be a little bit more fair. And the bottom line is, I think that the mom, you talk to some moms who are vaxxers and find out how they feel about the anti-vaxxers. If they want to set themselves aside from us, then, the vaccine people, I'm one of those, then I think that's the argument. But Stuart, do you have anything to add to that?
I would encourage a physician in your district to come help you testify. I've already read two. I read 2 of those bills, and Ashley Politz with the Louisiana chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics could be a great resource for you, Representative Freiberg.
Okay, we're out of time, but she's going to be available for questions up here, so thank you.
With the experience and resources for cases throughout Louisiana, Walters Papillon Thomas Collins, LLC, is proud to support LPB, specializing in personal injury and wrongful death, with information at lawbr.net.